Welcome everyone. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the CoinRock Show. This is Matthias. Welcome. We're gonna be getting going. We're gonna oh my God, we're gonna get going in a few minutes. We have a very cool guest today. We have. Let me just have a look at Telegram here. We have William Laurent, and the theme today is going to be AI and crypto. AI and crypto. Let's give it a few moments here. Like, share this, and we will be talking specifically about actually a very cool conversation here today with William. I'm just gonna ping you on, Will. See if you you should see this now here. Welcome. This is at a different time zone. So we usually do these later in the day, but there's a reason why we're doing these now here. So okay. I can see you in the studio. On your end, Will, give me a thumbs up if you're good, and then we'll add you to the stage. There you go. Welcome.
I'm good, thank you. I'm a little bit blurry. I'm just thinking maybe I should unblur myself here so I look a little bit more natural. Been a while since I used.
I think you're good.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Yeah.
Very well.
Okay. Well, I'll stay.
Very well.
I'll stay blurry. It's not the best picture, but I think StreamYard we can only stream in 1080 at the best, maybe even 720.
Yeah, yeah. I think 720 is like the default, depending on the camera, and then 1080. Yes.
Yeah. I'm set up for 1080 or 4K. So yeah, great. Thanks for having me on.
I'm just gonna push this in some of the groups. Let's give it a few minutes here, and then we'll get going.
How's my mic? All right.
Mic is very good, actually.
Okay, fantastic.
Mic
Yeah, I got
is
the
very good.
Good.
All right. So how is everyone today? Hope everyone's doing well. We are in the middle of, actually, we launched JeetBot exactly 14 hours ago, and it's been pretty insane, honestly, seeing the response so far. So we can talk about that too. I know you're in. I know you've been playing with it. So it's been very when you do these launches, it's very hectic, but also it's almost soothing because it's so hectic that it's like a roller coaster. You can prep for anything and everything you can imagine, and then you just have to go with the flow. So that's where we are now. So but anyway, the focus here is on William. So quick backstory here about Will. So him and I met just under a year ago when we were launching Cyclics CYG, and he was one of the very first believers and then also early investor KOL in Cyclics without knowing us at all. So it's been, in crypto, it feels like 10 years. Every year it's like that. Have you seen Inception?
I have not.
Oh, you should watch it. So there's a scene when they get to a certain planet, like time, it's like every minute is like 10 years on Earth. So that's kind of what crypto is. So William, a believer in CoinRock and Cyclics, and also VaultFi and JeetBot now, with everything we do. And I wanted to have William on because of his two things: the AI side of things, because I know you're very active in that space, especially AI being a very strong narrative this cycle in crypto, and having some alpha here for everyone about the intersection between AI. So talking about AI, your story, because I actually have some questions for you, and then talking about crypto and the market in general. So welcome, William.
Yeah, it sounds great. And again, apologize. I somehow went on FaceTime camera instead of my iPhone camera, but it is what it is. I just won't be in the best quality here for this shot, but whatever. So yeah, it's funny. I had a long conversation today with Kyle, who is Six Figs. A lot of your audience probably knows as Six Figs, who's been a dear friend of mine. Hung out in Miami and Japan and Zurich, most recently with Lucas. Actually, we all hung out there, and we were just running through a bunch of things. We wound up filming a segment on JeetBot, but we were talking about. I guess you had mentioned that I didn't really know you. I didn't know the team. I didn't know anybody, and I sort of took it on good faith from Lucas as like, hey, these guys are legit. But when I started digging in, what I was very, very impressed by was the fact that, and this is why I knew you were a serious dude, because we live in an age where, and not to get political at all, but with all this DEI controversy and all this, we're reminded that meritocracy is something that we've lost in pretty much everything except for sports, right? Because only the best succeed. There's no prize for second place in pro sports. There's like, you got to work your ass off. You got to be the best. And the fact that you were able to get yourself to be the #1 ranked amateur player, I think it was Switzerland, right?
Junior, actually, not amateur, because there's no amateur league. It's just a junior and then pros.
Yeah. So that said a lot to me, because when I see, and I know that you've had a lot of business success, and I know that's legit because I looked into that too. But at first, when you look at somebody that claims they had a lot of success, it's like, well, who did they rip off, right? Did they rip anybody off? Okay. Did they,
especially in this space, right?
right. Was there nepotism involved, right? Or was somebody boosting them up, or maybe they got lucky? But after enough success and after a string of success, and I'm a guy that looks at track records right now in crypto. That's all I have to go by, right? And even with the best track record, we can still fail. So that was pretty much sealed the deal. And then ever since then, I've been very big supporter of. I'm all supportive of what Lucas is working on, but everything that you're working on, that's includes VaultFi, of course, COIG, of course, and JeetBot as well. And the narrative, the timing couldn't be better. I mean, the AI narrative is one thing, and we're going into hopefully a bull market here in crypto. So we have this, with the crypto narrative, the AI narrative is like, this is really, really cool. And the more I dig around in JeetBot, I mean, it's legit AI. It's not just like some, basic deterministic matching where like it's a big if then else, and they just sort of slapped it together and said, okay, we'll set the split points here. This is the real deal. Like, it's real machine learning. And I don't want to spend too much time on me. I did teach data analytics at 3 universities. I taught here at NYU in Tokyo when NYU was still here before they pulled out. New York University. I taught at Baruch University in Manhattan. I also taught at Temple University here. And as part of that program, I got to design the curriculum, especially for the NYU program. And I taught a lot of AI. Now, I wasn't getting into things like backwardization, and how neural networks really work. But, we would touch on things like the sigmoid functions and how that works, and basic machine learning. So I feel I was out of that for a few years, and I feel like now, like, it's time to come back into that. It's coming home, and I'm never going to be that hands-on guy that I used to be. I've written thousands, if not millions, of lines of code back in the day, all the way from mainframe to client server to object oriented and all that. But it's going to be my job to be the person that can evangelize it. And I'm fine with that, because, I think as we get older and we have life experience and we have experience in whatever our career niche that we've carved out for ourselves, we tend to be orchestrators, architects, composers, right? Not necessarily the guy that's doing the hands-on, the person that says, okay, show me all the constituent parts of everything that you're working on, and let's figure out how to do that. And the great thing is, and you know this too, because you've had a pretty robust career across a lot of different verticals. So, you can apply that wisdom to tech, to marketing and tech, right? To crypto, to AI. So, it's really, really exciting. And I think I was just before we hopped on, I like to think in things of threes, and I was like, we're at a point right now. If you look at how technology, the trajectory of technology, it's usually okay. Like for me, there's three stages, and they're not all clean, but it's innovation, improvement, and then integration. So
Yep.
it's IBM comes out and they invent all this great stuff, and then maybe they do the Kaizen on it, or maybe someone else does the Kaizen, and the technology gets improved, and then it's just consolidation. I think you worked a lot in software as a service, so you're familiar
Yep.
with Salesforce.com. You're familiar with and a lot of these companies, just IBM as well, just became a company that just bought things. It's like, okay, we're not building anything anymore. We're just going to buy it and put it together.
Yep.
Right now in
Which is what a lot
AI,
of the big groups do now, right? I mean,
yeah,
have done
yeah,
in the past. Yep. Yep.
right. And I think we're going to both in blockchain. I still think we're very much in that first phase, although we're starting to go into the second phase. But in AI, it's just day after day innovation. And what happened this week with DeepSeek, it was like, wow, we're just like every day is the Wild West. So
Every day.
it's an exciting space to be in, and I'm not sure where I'm going to go with everything. Like I started my YouTube channel and it was doing really well, and I sort of backed off on it, and I got to hit it full speed again. So I appreciate what you've been doing, just showing up, doing these podcasts or these streams. I set up my eCam news desk. Wait till you see what I got set up, and hopefully I'll have you on my show. I got a lot of people that have promised to come on.
For sure. Thank you. Yeah, I saw the
I'm
picture you shared yesterday about the studio coming up.
still learning it. Yeah, man. So I've tried StreamYard. Not to get off topic here, sorry, but I've tried StreamYard. I've tried Restream. I've tried them all, and like eCam, it was like, oh my god, you mean I can do all this and I don't have to use OBS, and it's $30 a month, and I can do all these amazing things. So I'm super excited. AI has been there's two things that have been the catalyst right now is AI and all that's going on. I feel like a little kid to get excited to do this, and just watching my friends, watching people like Kyle, like Lucas, like you, watching people that I really trust in crypto, because that circle of trust is very important. And it's like Lucas says, for every 10 people that you find, maybe you find one person that you can add to your circle. So that's sort of invigorated me too. And being back in Japan, I got to be honest, when I come back here, I tend to get more creative, whether it's painting or whether it's, I don't know why, there's just a certain zen, a clarity in my brain, more of a sense of purpose. Like, okay, the universe needs me for something. I better grind and do it. So anyway,
why AI? Why did you get into AI in the first place? Because this is years ago, right? Now everyone likes AI, but like AI was not cool up to 3 years ago.
Yeah. Not only AI, but I used to write for the leading publications in data science, data analytics. And I was honestly one of the first people to write about Web3. I was writing about Web3. And this was back when data analytics was still called BI, business intelligence. I don't know if you remember that. It's like going way back. And I was writing about,
this is like early 2000s.
Yeah. Even before, back when I started writing about tech, I would write for magazines that were about this thick, just like all the advertisement. By the time I finished, there were no magazines anymore. It was just it was on the internet. And once it became ones and zeros, it became noise. And then that writing career has sort of dissipated. I still do ghost writing, things like that. But so, anyway, I was always the data side of things, right? I was the guy that would come in, and I had a boutique consulting firm that I ran in New York that I founded. And it was very much, you show me that data model in third normal form, I'll tell you what your business does, right? You show that to me, because once you learn the data, you learn the business. The front end comes and goes, right? We saw, client server was Power Builder and Fox Pro, and then it was Java and JavaScript and C#. It was all noise. Show me the data. If you understand how an array works and how to unpack an array, and you understand the different data structures, right? And how to model that data, that's a very, very, I think, easy segue into AI. And I sort of just fell into AI that way. It's like, what is my, I reached a point too where with the outsourcing, all the companies were just outsourcing everything. So the
When
days
was
of me
this? How long ago, by the way?
well, the outsourcing that started as early as I would say 96,
Yep.
but it
Yep.
really, really took hold after sort of a defining moment for me was 9/11, the terror attacks, and that would have been 2001. And I think that changed. That was a catalyst for just a lot of change. What not necessarily related to that event, but that was sort of a defining event. And I saw how things changed after that. And the outsourcing and near sourcing seemed to accelerate a lot. So the days of me walking around Wall Street, and I was living in New York at the time, New York City, walking around Wall Street saying, okay, who's gonna hire me next to write code or to do a data model for their trading desk, and be able to name my price. That sort of slipped away. Then it was, well, my differentiated value is I can be an evangelist. I can communicate about technology. I can write about technology. So I sort of shifted that way. I shifted into education. I started teaching. But, I think I already had that technical foundation, and that
Yep.
just kept me interested in AI. And like I said, I'm going back into this AI world, but Matt, it's more as an evangelist than a hands-on guy because I
So
need to
let me
be.
ask you this about,
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
no, yeah. I don't want to talk too much about myself,
No,
but thank you.
you've been in the space for 20 plus years, right? So
Yeah,
so looking at the evolution now, looking at the two big, maybe three big players. I'd say OpenAI is the more mainstream player.
yeah,
Of course, the Chinese are coming in now. I mean, they've been building for years, nothing new.
yes, yes,
Grok, we're on Twitter, so we could also mention Grok. What's
yeah.
your view on all these new players? Of course, there's Google. I mean, every big tech firm has been deploying in the area. What's your alpha basically on all this and your take?
Let me dissect that piece by piece. And again, I'm going to talk from empirical experience. I'm going to give you my experience with all of these. But let's start with China. I've been for years doing my best to not be bullish on China, to be bearish on China, to be like, oh, but being back in Asia and having a lot more contact with Chinese and people that are in China, Chinese in Japan. I'll probably go to China this summer, probably grab my visa in the next couple weeks. Dude, I'm so bullish. It was for a long time. It was this argument like India versus China. India versus China. India is the world's biggest democracy, but dude, China is going to just crush it, man.
Yep.
They're doing so many things right. And I don't know if you read this book by uh, Peter Zahin. It's I forget the name, but he's very, very bearish on China, and he's very well respected. He's like, China's only got this many years left in this many years. I'm seeing what's coming out of China, not just in AI, but in gadgets, just in thought leadership, and I am blown away. So, yeah, it's for real, man.
I can see
It's
the book.
absolutely for
Yeah, yeah,
real.
yeah, yeah,
And we better, the West, especially the US, better get its shit together.
yeah.
As far as AI, using, my experience using Grok is not politically correct, which I love, but it doesn't have the charm that OpenAI does. It doesn't have the charm that ChatGPT does. And I can tell
Mm.
ChatGPT, in ChatGPT, I could actually invent worlds. I invented a 1920s women singing supergroup where I had AI music that I created on Suno, and I was posting it to my YouTube. And I think the videos, like I have a couple of the videos have almost 20,000 views. People were listening to it. I
Yep.
was getting I was getting love messages of people saying this is amazing. I was getting attacked by like, you should at least say it's AI, which to me was a compliment because people didn't know. People were like, wait, is this real? So ChatGPT was able to craft the story narrative. It was able to do the album art, via DALL-E. It was able to do all these things.
How long ago did you do that? Because the improvements have been amazing over the last 18 months, not 18 years, 18 months with
The
ChatGPT.
improvement. I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have done it a
Unbelievable.
year ago.
Yeah,
I did it.
yeah.
So I stopped doing it a couple months ago. So it would have been, probably skipped the last few months, but then skipped 3 months before that. And I saw weekly. I saw the
I
learning
agree.
that it was
I agree.
doing, and Grok. I think charm is the word. Grok is not charming. Grok, it didn't have the last bit of what I was looking for. Now I can tell Grok, give me a really sexy chick with a hot rod, holding an ice cream cone, and Grok will nail that much better than ChatGPT. But if I say to ChatGPT, give me an authentic poster from the 1920s of a flapper, women's trio on the deck of the Titanic or something, I'll be able to work with it, and I'll be able to get an end product eventually that is absolutely remarkable. So again, I'm not look, we all have Twitter Blue, so Grok comes with it. It's kind of nice. And I reached a point too where I got monetized on Twitter. So I probably make just enough on Twitter to pay for the for the Twitter Blue. So that's kind of nice. And
do you feel like Grok is more of a gimmick, or do you think it has legs the same way OpenAI does?
I'm not going to underestimate anything Elon Musk touches. So I don't like to say gimmick. It's good at what it does, but it doesn't do certain things. And then, turn that around, and then you have Perplexity, you have Claude, and they all have different uses. I really like, what I do is I do pipes. So I'll ask Perplexity to do something because it'll be more current. I'll say, give me a script or give me a narrative about AI ethics, or will AI take our jobs, right? And it will give me something, and then I'll pipe that over into ChatGPT for some flavor, and it will really, really massage it nicely.
There's a lot more depth, honestly. That's what I've noticed. I mean, we have maybe 30 ChatGPT accounts for different teams, because this is like in Web 2. Copywriting is one of the, or at least was one of the first use cases from a commercial standpoint. It was very easy to take a junior copywriter, a junior writer, and actually get them to have 20 plus years of copywriting experience just by fine tuning and prompting ChatGPT. So we have a good 30 licenses, whether it's for virtual assistants, whether it's copywriters, email copywriters, and it has depth. And the depth has really improved over the last 12 months.
Well, now what people are doing, I have a daughter, she's 20 years old. She's in college up in Boston. And what the kids are doing now is they'll do the ChatGPT, and then they'll run it through something called Twain to humanize it. So, they're doing the same thing with the pipes. My issue now is I'm on LinkedIn a lot, right? And copywriters, I don't know if you've noticed, copywriters have killed LinkedIn. That just ridiculous style that they do to try and like hook you and grab attention.
I hate LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I hate it, but
it's become absolutely disgusting.
It's unusable. It's unusable. It's
people are still people that I know well, that I know can do better, are still using ChatGPT, and not everyone's a great writer. Not everyone's a great editor. I've run 3 news desks, right? And I've run those with an iron hand sometimes, very, very, managed and trained hundreds of writers. I know, and I could be at the point back then where I knew each writer. I would get an article. I was like, oh, so-and-so wrote this. Sally wrote this. Robbie wrote this. I know if someone's using ChatGPT, if someone's using Grok, if someone's using Claude, I can tell by the style. And then I go to LinkedIn, and it's like in the ever evolving realm of, and I'm like, oh my God.
The ever evolving and yes, of course. And no one takes the time just to change those words.
The
landscape, the ever evolving, the era. Yes. It has gotten better though. Yeah, it has gotten better.
It has gotten better, but still, like, you have to know. I've always said you can make a crappy writer better. You can't make even a mediocre writer. You can't make him great with AI. Not yet. And I would see, when I ran the news desk, that project we built on ICP, and I would get articles that were like, yeah, okay, maybe I can sort of like tell, and then they would, the way that they would conclude, or it would be like, in conclusion, I'm like, no, or like, in this article, sorry, dude, if you tell me like what I've already read, then you've already lost me as a reader. Or if you say, in this article, we will dive into, no, like, just write it.
Are you seeing, when it comes to like AI improvements, have you used DeepSeek, by the way? I haven't yet.
I have not. No, I have not.
Okay.
I think it needs to be a little bit more accessible. For me, it just looks like it's sort of buried on some GitHubs here and there.
Yeah. I do think that, coming back to the China point of view you have, I mean, I think China is so underestimated by the West, or not taken seriously, I should say. I grew up in Europe, between the Western propaganda in the US and the Eastern reality of it, because the propaganda is much less. The masters of propaganda are the Americans, right? I mean, they invented the industry. And so when you listen and you've been brainwashed by what's being said about technology and how amazing the tech is in the West, which it is, but then you actually look at companies in the East, so now mainly, of course, China. I think people think that the Chinese only copy, but when you look at the technology, I'll give you a very real example: the cars. If you look at the cars that Chinese manufacturers are coming out with, Tesla is years behind Chinese manufacturing EV cars. The only reason why the EU and the US are not flooded with Chinese manufacturing, in the car industry, is because they don't want the Chinese cars in Europe and the US. The technology is vastly superior to the majority of EV cars. And you go to YouTube. Everyone who can have a look at YouTube. It's mind-blowing what the Chinese are coming up with.
Something changed in China. There was a paradigm shift, and I've probably been to China 6 or 7 times, mainland, not including Hong Kong.
I've never been to China. I just see it as a very,
okay.
I see it as a very neutral point of view. Like, the Chinese are building.
Yeah, when I was coming up in technology, everything that was built, actually, even before that, right? The Koreans were just building the worst imaginable. I used to live in Korea, and it was like, Samsung, that's a piece of crap. Now Samsung is completely eating Sony's lunch, right? So given enough time, they got so when I was coming up, China was just making utter shit, to the point of where I used to say there's some defect in the Chinese mind that they actually go out of their way to make it worse. Like, there's no quality control. Something happened, dude, in the last, I don't know, let's say the last 5 years, they figured out how to do precision quality control, like
high quality,
like Lean Sigma, Kaizen, Kanban, like all these things that the Japanese have succeeded at
in the 90s.
China has cracked that. And with
I agree.
With the propaganda, and dude, again, not to get political, but I always say that propaganda starts out with the intent to influence and winds up with the intent to disenfranchise, right? And humiliate. And that's sort of where the U.S. propaganda has gotten to. But I'm really looking forward to my next trip to China. It's going to be somewhat curated by my Chinese friends, so they're going to take me here and there. I don't know. I don't know the details yet, but I'm really looking forward to seeing, especially like what's going on with AI and mobile gadgetry. I'm really interested now because it's showing up in Japan here. It's showing up at Akihabara, like up on the streets. Like, where's this from? It was like, oh, Taiwan or Korea. Not anymore. It's just coming directly from China.
Yep. I think you said 5 years. I think the shift started. So I started noticing the quality of products in e-commerce about 10 years ago. So the quality about 10 years ago was low. Up to 10 years ago is low, right? So if you had a Chinese manufacturing partner, a supplier, so we would sell Chinese products online way before the drop shipping craze. I was doing drop shipping back in 2008, 2009.
Mhm.
The quality, it was very difficult to find a reliable supplier in China. Very difficult. Language barrier
Yeah.
was bad. The quality of the products were bad. Scams too, but I will say just the quality was bad. Even though they shipped the actual product, it was something that the return rate, the refund rate was high. In the last, I'd say 2 years before COVID, it started picking up the quality, and we saw this on spreadsheets. The refund rates went low, started dropping, and then we started looking at why, and the refund specifically for defective products went down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So 10 years ago, up to 10 years ago, having a Chinese manufacturer was very difficult. I have a lot of friends who went to, is it Shenzhen, where they do like the huge
Yeah.
manufacturing demos
Yeah.
every year. So I've always wanted to go there. So we had suppliers from there. Quality up to like 7, 8 years ago was average, and something happened. And if
Yes.
you find, first of all, there's a lot of competition in China between each other, right? They compete like against each other for Western sellers to collaborate with the West, right? But the quality over the last 5 to 7 years is better than the West for a lot of industries.
Let
And
me
that's the
give you
reality that a lot of Western companies don't want to admit.
let me give you a use case because I'm sitting right next to it. So I see that what's happening in the hi-fi industry, where China was very much a niche player 10 years ago. I'm very much into audio equipment, especially like
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
really high-end stuff. And the stuff that they're producing right now is absolutely kicking ass. So let me show you something now. If you could look over here, this is you probably can't see it because I'm on
It's
blur. Let me see if
blurry.
I can
Yeah,
zoom
yeah,
in.
yeah.
Anyway, that's a very that's a very that's a very expensive. Those are Toshiba speakers. That's a very expensive
Okay. Yeah, I see the shape. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
integrated
yeah.
amp. Probably a $10,000 unit, which I used to only use Russian tubes, and if I really wanted to splurge, I would get the Telefunken, the German ones. I just got a pair of Tungsol tubes from China, and those things absolutely crush. Amazing. So I see it just
Yeah,
I see it touching my real life right now, and
yeah.
I don't have that stigma anymore. Now, yeah, if I walk in a dollar store, I'm going to see a bunch of cheap plastic shit
Of
from
course,
China,
of
but
course, of
for
course.
the higher end stuff, I don't have the
Yeah,
stigma that I used to have, where it's like, oh, I'm like, I'll look at it.
yep, yep. And so what would really, so I saw a documentary probably about 5, 6 years ago. This is before COVID, so 6 years ago, about the car industry in China. And I saw something, I saw a statement from one of the car, you know, manufacturing leaders in China saying that the the reporter, a Western reporter, was asking why cars? Like, you guys, you build everything, but why cars? And they said, and I'll never forget it. He said, the symbol of the success of the country is being able to manufacture a vehicle.
Wow.
And so the first cars were okay. They were blatantly based off Tesla. The looks were a bit different, right? The actual shape. Tesla influenced. If you look at YouTube, and everyone can go to YouTube now and type in latest Chinese car, and you will see the technology, the comfort, the quality of the build. I mean, better than German cars. I love German cars. I've had German cars my
Mm.
whole life. You know, I like Italian cars too. The quality of the build, there is of course stigma, right? Are you going to drive a Chinese car today? I don't know. I think that's what's
Yeah.
blocking people. But if you look at the product itself, uh, there's a lot in Dubai. There's a bit more in Turkey. There's more in the Middle East. A lot more in Saudi Arabia. Of course, more in Asia. A few in Europe. For the first time, we went back for Christmas. Over Christmas, I saw for the first time 2, 3 cars. Literally, we went for about 10 days. For the first time in my life, I saw a few Chinese cars. But the quality, the West doesn't want to. It's like they have their heads buried in the sand. They don't want to see the quality of Chinese cars, and also there is stigma. That is something that I
So
think, yeah, is irrefutable.
let me tell you a funny line from a friend of mine who was from Russia, and he was very much into cars. And he said to me once, he said, when you sit in an American car, when you climb in an American car and sit down, you just feel like you never made it in life. And that stuck
Oh, that's
with me. I'm
funny.
like, holy shit. But like that, like
What year was this?
oh, it was a long time ago, but it's still true.
Because if it was like the 60s or 70s, it would be the opposite, right? I mean, that was like the height of
This would
the
have been the
US car
90s.
industry.
Yeah, this would have been the 90s.
Yeah, yeah. So, no, I agree. I mean, I think one of the best questions, I love cars. So, I follow the car industry closely. One of the best ways to understand the sophistication of a market is to actually ask them, what do you stand for? German engineering, you know it. BMW, you know it. Porsche, you know it, right? Italians, speed, exotic, nice,
Right.
a bit flimsy. They'll break down, but you'll have fun. Sweden, reliability. Volvo, safety.
Yep. Yep.
What do American cars stand for?
Muscle, man. I used to have a
Muscle,
Chevy
sure.
Malibu. It had a V6,
But today, what do they actually? What is the main trade? Trucks, maybe, right? That's what comes
Yeah.
up. It's like, okay, the F-150. What else? Is it safety? Is it speed? Is it comfort? Is it engineering? What? Look at Chrysler.
I'll give you
What do
my
you actually
yeah.
stand for?
This is a lot to unpack, but when I'm back in the U.S., I think it's just size and safety. It's sort of like the U.S. highways have become like India. It's might makes right. And when I go on the highways in the U.S., I feel like I'm in a gladiator movie. I'm like, okay, I'm out here, in the arena. Am I even going to make it? And you want a big car. I just I'm scared to death even to drive on the highways anymore the way things are. So I think in the US it's about muscle, it's about size, it's about obviously I really don't know. I'm not the best person to opine on that. My question for you would be the US was built on two things, right? Guns, or the U.S. expanded on two things: guns and
Yep.
cars.
Yep.
And cars so much that people don't realize that the U.S. was a railroad. Railroads took everything everywhere, and then the oil companies bought up all the railroads when they figured out that the automobile was coming, and we got the super highway system. And people that made a lot of money, like Ray Kroc of McDonald's, used to say,
Yep.
I'm not a food company. I'm in it for I'm in it for the real estate. And he would put the
Real estate,
McDonald's
of course.
on the highway and everything. So for a country like the US that was born and raised on the car, why is it the unions? Why do we have such shitty cars anymore? And I know, like, I have some friends that would get really pissed off if they hear me talking like this, because they're like, well, the US anyway. I still going to go back to what my friend said. When you sit in a US car, you feel like you never made it in life.
That's it's almost like a slap in the face, right? So, and I think I'd say the only innovation in the US today is Tesla. I'm not a big Tesla fan, but I think it's the only company actually bringing innovation, bringing something new and different. It is, I think, the last hope, aside from the trucks, right? Of course, those are I think they dominate that space, especially in the States. In the Midwest, it's very tough to have anything else than a truck. But I think that I agree with you. It's I think the Chinese are very underrated. I think the way they communicate is also very strategic, and whereas the West likes to be very vocal and very much about like mass influence in a different way than China. I think that the Chinese are, while everyone is talking about the DEI, for example, we talked about that at the beginning of the show. The Chinese are building in a different
They're
way,
building.
and they're executing at a level that the West should be scared of. And I think until
Yeah.
you actually look into and you put your bias aside, you don't really understand China.
I have to be careful what I say, because I know some of it can be controversial, and I could say things when I teach classes here in Japan that I would have gotten fired for in the US. But there's really two things that are the biggest determinant of personal success in this world. Number one is your parents. If you have parents that worked and you could see your dad and your mom going to work, or your dad studying for some test on the weekend, or doing housework, just like focused working, there's that.
Yep.
And IQ. Honestly,
Yep.
I like the higher your IQ is, the less prone you are going to be to criminality, the less you're prone to divorce, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, the stats are out there. And the if you look at the world IQ map, and I guess I'm a little bit of an Asia file, but it's Japan, Taiwan,
Yep.
China, and that's the US is continually to fall farther and farther behind, because we're not doing enough in education. We're not doing enough on IQ. Like, we're not. Yeah. And I mean, once you throw meritocracy out the window and start throwing it out the window like the US did, then you might as well just hand everything to China. Like it or not,
Yep. Yep.
China,
I agree.
this next 50 years or something belongs to China, and civilization is circular. They'll mess it up and they'll hand it to somebody else, right? Maybe it'll
Yep.
go to the Saudis. I don't know.
Yep. Let's talk about AI and crypto. What's your view? How are you reading the market? How do you use AI in crypto? I'm curious to kind of end the show for
Yeah,
that, for the viewers
yeah.
here on AI and crypto, because I know you're in both. So
So I appreciate the AI meme coins. I love what Truth Terminal is doing. It's
yep.
hilarious. I'm not going to mention. There's a couple AI coins that I probably should not talk about, that I'll get in trouble. I don't want to talk about, but they're really funny, and they're doing amazing things. So I like what they're doing with the AI meme coins, and I think that was probably not the best case for AI, but or crypto. But it was interesting to watch. When the conversation comes up in AI and crypto, it always comes to how can I leverage AI to be a better trader, right?
Yeah.
So I know JeetBot is part of that conversation as well, but it usually is like more of like, okay, I'm going to the average retail trader, I'm going to use AI, and I'm going to like blah 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 blah. It's like, okay, I worked on Wall Street, right? I worked on trading desks. I worked with traders. I worked with the data. You're not going to beat the desk at Goldman Sachs. You're just not going to beat, when I don't know how many years they went without ever losing, without one day of actually taking a loss. You're not going to beat that. Now, I seeing what I'm seeing for JeetBot, there's tech there that those companies are going to want eventually, right? So that that competitive advantage is not going to last forever for JeetBot, but it's here, right? So, I think, and looking at the other products that are on the market, the comparable products, I just don't see that they have the portfolio of what is going on with JeetBot. So my first reaction when someone tells me, oh, I'm going to use AI and I'm going to be a better trader, I'm like, no, you're not. Like, it's not. But getting involved with the CoinRock community and getting my feet wet in JeetBot and seeing what JeetBot is bringing, not just in the optimized trading, right? And this new type of market order, but some of the other things that it's doing, it looks like, and I don't know if this is going to be, I don't know when it's going to be released, but the sentiment analysis, or being able to mash up the data, is like what the KOLs are saying and what the market's actually doing, right? Being able to spot potential rugs. Now, there's a project, Rug Pull Finder. Great guys. I know the guys. When I had Twitter Spaces, I used to have them on. They're doing amazing stuff. So they're in that space, and they're doing sort of like a similar thing. But like that. So these are like forensic guys. A lot of these guys worked for the U.S. government. They're doing amazing things. So what I like about JeetBot is it's got like just that as a component of like all these other things that it's doing. So my question is, and I know that you can't give away the secret sauce, is like, what is really going on if we go not 2 feet under, but six feet under? How is it coming up with these? How is it coming up with this intel? Like, how is it able to go like obviously it's not doing a smart contract audit, like AKA like Certix level, but it is going in and saying, okay, this wallet holds this much, this smart contract may have this loopholes, like this. Like, I just would love to find out a little bit more about that. I'm sure that I will in the future, but that what JeetBot is doing is extremely, extremely ambitious, and the reason why I'm bullish on this is just the team behind it, man.
Yeah,
You,
thank
Lucas.
you, for that. I wasn't expecting that, but thank you. So there's a lot of things, right? So first of all, for AI, I think that the main thing is there's a lot of confusion in the market because AI is so hot that you see a lot of AI everywhere, but there's no AI behind it. And
Yeah,
you've
it's not
seen that
AI.
with no, that's not AI. No, you've seen
Not
that
AI.
with a lot of KOLs that have been pushing that we both know that have been pushing AI something, AI this, AI that. There is no AI in that project. It's literally in the
Right,
logo, and that's it.
right,
And
right.
so, it's fine if that's what you want to do, but it's not an AI. It is not AI. So I think, and that's fine if you want to use it as a hook or a marketing, like as bait. That's fine. But I
Yeah,
think it's important to have an honest conversation about the fact that there is real AI, right?
yeah,
Where you pull
yeah,
data and you actually use it, and then
yeah,
as opposed to just using it in your on your white paper or on the logo. When it
yeah.
comes to JeetBot, there's a lot of things that there's a lot of things that AI can do and AI is doing. Especially this is going to be probably rolled out in the next few weeks. Uh, as you know, AI is really the the better the input, the better the output. So the more data
Hmm.
we collect on the bot side, on dozens, it's going to be hundreds of metrics, right? Volume, order traded, time of the day, uh, size of each trade, time of each trade, all that. Based on that, once you have that data, then you can actually feed that into a prediction model, and that's when it gets
Right.
interesting. Of
Yeah,
course, everything is, and this is what most of the hedge funds do, right? I say the sophisticated hedge funds, because not all hedge funds operate like that, but the best ones, that's what they all want to do, is looking at the aggregating the data into a data that ideally they own, to then analyze it and then interpret that data into tools. The issue, I will say, not the issue, I see the challenge for everyone, whether it's Citadel, whether it's JeetBot, whether in crypto or old school TradFi, is I think everyone will have access to the data. I think having the data is not the issue. Sooner or later, you have the data. The issue, or let's say the question, is how do you interpret the data and how do you use the data to create tools?
right. And a lot
Because
of that
ultimately
comes
the
back.
data is
Yeah,
the data. And you
yeah,
probably saw this a few weeks ago where someone said, maybe it was Sam Altman, saying that reaching a point where there is no new data. There, like, the data points are exhausted. You can only go back and scan the data available, books, the internet. There were no new data points. So how do you come up with new data? And then that opens up the whole side of synthetic data. So
right,
how do you come up with these new how do you the machines are advancing and progressing faster than humans. If they've
yeah,
scanned the past, what do you do
yeah,
once everything's scanned,
yeah.
in a very like dumbed down view? So I think having the data, many entities and companies can have the data. I think the issue that everyone has then is, how do you interpret the data the right
Yes,
way, and
yes,
what tools and what do you pull from the data? Because ultimately they're large pools of lakes of signals, of
yes.
numbers and letters. What do you take from these oceans of numbers and letters to actually benefit the tool? And I think that's the main challenge for everyone, whether again
This,
you're Citadel
I'm
or you're
so, yeah.
JeetBot. And
I'm so glad that you brought this up, because, and also this gets into the question of like what these hedge funds are doing. Are they doing supervised learning, like, or are they doing the unsupervised learning, which is the
yep,
real, deep neural network stuff? But
yep,
what you're talking about is like a sweet spot for me, because coming from that background of analytics and data governance and data lineage and classification, taxonomy. That's why data taxonomists are such a big thing, because it's like, okay, here's the data. What do we have? How do we tag it? What labels do we have on it? What data? Think of data. I used to teach this. Think of data as a living organism. Data has behaviors, it has attributes, and it has dependencies, right? Just like any other living organism. And how you model those three things, right, is going to determine everything else. That all the sexy stuff downstream is going to be determined by that, right? How you take that, how you classify it, and what's your cutoff point for the outliers? What do your bell curves look like? And this is why you need people that are real data scientists, like statisticians, right? Data governance people, data lineage people, taxonomists. And I would have never thought that library science, because it used to be like, oh, get a master's in library science and work in the library for $20,000 a year. Now people want the library science people because they have taxonomy experience, because they can come in and say, okay, here's information, here's how you classify it, so that when you go downstream to what you're talking about, we have something that is actionable.
And that's the main, again, I think that's the challenge for every single company that uses or wants to use AI is you have the data, what do you do with it, and what data points do you pull in to create a tool that's usable? Otherwise, data is just, it's having, okay, you have trees in the forest. What's the point if you don't know how to use them to actually, what trees, how do you cut them to actually warm your house in the winter? How do you use what's available to you, in this case for JeetBot? So yeah, we have a lot of, and again, there's no end to this, so this will keep evolving as we go. But I think timeline-wise, we're probably about, I'd say, a month away from like rolling out the pure AI data. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions. We talk for hours about this. A lot of misconceptions about what is AI versus what is just, interpreting data fast, which is so interpreting data fast without AI is not AI, even though it's labeled as AI by some people, right? So it's
what I call deterministic matching.
So long story short, we have a lot planned for that. I know. So Justin, one of the co-founders of JeetBot, he was in AI over 10 years ago. So he's a very old school AI. I have friends who graduated from, so high school friends who graduated from EPFL in Lausanne, basically one of the Swiss MITs. There's two MIT schools. So I say MIT because everyone knows Boston MIT. There's EPFZ, EPF Zurich, which basically comes up with, they are one of the top universities and research centers in the world, and EPFL, which is in my hometown, Lausanne. So I went to school with friends who worked in AI 15 years ago. They graduated, did their whole thesis in AI before it was cool. So I think it's I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg, and now we're seeing the commercial side of it. But this is just 1% of what's actually happening and what will happen in the coming years. It's even difficult to talk about it.
People have no idea what's coming. I don't know if we were talking about this before in a Twitter space, but I was out in the Bay Area the beginning of last year for the NVIDIA conference. Spent 3 days out there, and I saw the presentation that Justin Huang did, where he came out and just spoke for probably well over an hour. And I saw the robots. Right, AI is just one thing, but when you actually see the shell, the conduit, like, okay, that body that AI is running in, and the nimbleness and the agility, and you say, holy crap, these robots are going to be like, we know that they can already do surgery with better precision, right? But those are like little sort of niche movements. These things had the flexibility of a gymnast. So it's not like, oh, yeah, AI will never be a plumber. AI will never wash windows. Yeah, you want to bet? You want to bet? The future looks like Terminator, man. It really does.
All right, 5 minutes left. I have two questions for you. One is, so aside from CoinRock and JeetBot and what we do, what are you the most bullish on in crypto? In crypto first, crypto, AI, or even non-AI crypto?
I'm really bullish on. I've been bullish on ICP for a while, and all it's been doing is just breaking my heart over and over again. I mean, I got to say, like, I'm going on a little bit of a rant here. I look like a complete moron, like a complete buffoon, because I was like, yeah, XRP is crap, so seeing those things do 5x, and I'm losing money on ICP. I still believe in the tech. I've seen the tech. I know, like, it's not, ICP is not, it really is like AWS on
Yep.
running on a blockchain, like running on, like,
Yep.
the use case is there. It's not just that limited use case for a blockchain where it's like, whether you do sharding or no matter how you do it, it's still ledger. It's still like ones and zeros, right? It's still
Yep.
expensive to store things on. I just like Azure, Microsoft Azure, or some of the other cloud infrastructure abstracts away all the things from security to servers. Like, ICP does that in a more decentralized way, right? And then you can tie crypto into that. You can tie the DAO into that. I'm really just bullish on it, but then again, the best ideas don't always win. So we'll see. I'm not giving up yet. I'm just still frustrated and heartbroken. I was bullish on Ethereum, but I got to tell you, I'm not anymore. I want to.
Why? I'm very bullish on ETH, but
Are
I'm
you?
curious to hear why you're not.
I just think maybe people have fudded me too much. It just nobody wants to build on ETH anymore. It just
That's a fair statement. I mean, it's definitely lost a lot of its pull.
I mean, honestly, and I saw Lucas posted this today. Is like, I didn't realize it would be such a BTC maxi. If ETH can close the gap on the Bitcoin dominance a little bit, honestly, I just want to get out of ETH and take some profits, take some of that, have a nice vacation somewhere, and
Yep.
put the rest of that into Bitcoin and just let it sit there.
I will never FUD Bitcoin. I mean,
Yeah.
you should be crazy FUDding Bitcoin with the buyers who stepped in over the last 12 months. So,
Yep.
but ETH has disappointed everyone, but I think it's going to have a hated rally at some point. Just looking at the buyers in the ETFs at this point, who's buying ETH.
Right.
So I think it'll rip. I do think Sol has more upside than ETH, but I think ETH is so hated that it will
Yeah.
have its time too. I'm bullish on ETH, but of course it's been
Yeah.
more than disappointing so far.
I hope so. I hope so too. I mean, I don't want to shill any other shit coins that most of them I'm down on, and I see like one of them just came back 50% today. So, we'll see. I mean, there are things like Telcoin, things like that I still think have a good future, but I just don't want to I don't want to show the small market cap stuff. But I like for AI plays in crypto, I like what Near Protocol is doing.
Yep.
They sort of come out of nowhere lately. I'm bullish on Near, and some of the other coins. I was just looking at Coin Market Cap. I don't know why they classify like Arweave or some of these others as AI. They're not really. So I would say those are the two AI plays in cryptos, Near and ICP, that
Yep.
I'm really
Okay.
looking at. Yeah.
We have a minute left. Any closing statements or resources or where people can find you? Of course, click on
Yeah. Go
the
to my
ad here and
YouTube
follow
page.
Will. Yep.
My followers have stalled out. It's William Laurent 3 on YouTube. It's called Your Friend in AI. I came on that platform and I was just doing a lot of AI music because it was fun. And I realized like, hey, I'm getting tons of views, but this is not what I should be doing. I need to go back into education. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be starting up a news show. I'm
Nice.
William Laurent 3 on Twitter. I'm William Laurent 3 on YouTube. I hang out on some of the other decentralized social media platforms. I'm on LinkedIn as well. But yeah, I appreciate the follow on
Of course.
on YouTube. And I just want to remind everybody, like, one of the things that I've been very, very conscious lately is just fitness, mental and physical, just meditating and just getting to the gym, getting the time in. We spend so much damn time in front of our computer, but cut the
Yep.
sugar,
Yep.
cut the alcohol. You can be the richest man in Babylon. You can have all the money in the world, but without your health, it doesn't mean shit. It
Yep.
doesn't mean,
Yep.
it doesn't mean anything. So, I've been just trying to do things right. Russ Albrecht recommended a book called Outlive. I would recommend it to anybody watching this. It was something that Russ was reading in prison, and it just basically talks about how to stay healthy as you get older. I didn't
Yep.
really think about this much when I was in my 30s and 40s, just partying, drinking, carrying on, chasing women, doing all kinds of bad stuff. But hey, man, I'm going to be 58 soon, and every day is a chance to be healthy now. That's the way I
Yep.
look at it. Okay, you wake up. This is a day for me to get sunlight. This is a day for me to get cardio. This is a day for me to get strength, and stretching is the most important thing. So that's all. I just want
Yep.
to evangelize that, and maybe I'm
I
stating the
agree. I
obvious.
agree. I think it's
Yeah,
very understated in crypto. I agree with that. I do something every single day, whether it's I was just on the treadmill an hour ago, 30, 40 minutes on rest days, and then I'll lift three heavy days a week. Of course, you have crazy sleep patterns during these bull
yeah,
markets, but aside from that, health is number one for everything. Without health, you can't do anything.
yeah.
So
Health is
number
and
one.
the number one life hack. I don't have a car, and I know you're a car guy. I've not had a
Nice,
car for probably 30 years. I just haven't needed
nice.
one in New York City or Tokyo or wherever. Don't have a car. Throw away your TV. Throw away Netflix. Don't be a passive observer. That's fine if you want to watch a TV show or a
Yeah.
sports game, or you want to go see the orchestra or something. That's all great. But don't come home and just plunk yourself down in front of that TV. Throw it out. Your life will be so much better, and you'll be so much healthier.
And of course, I mean, coming back to just to end this, in London, I lived for almost 10 years in London. I did not have a car because it's pointless to have cars in those
Yeah,
mega cities.
yeah.
So yeah, yeah. But thank you for being on here. Everyone follow William. He's been, like I
Thank
said, a
you.
believer from day one. And definitely post. I see you posting the AI news too. I like that. So post the AI news for
I got
everyone.
that. Dude, I was inspired by you. Honestly, I got that
I
idea
saw
from
the
you. Like,
similarities. I was like, oh, this is good with AI. Yeah, I get it. It's great.
so
It's a good overview. Like everyone can, we post these crypto headlines every day. We have great responses,
yeah, yeah.
so it's something that you cover every headline, and it's easy to
Yep.
share, and people like it.
And it's easy to
Yep.
crank out. I go to Google News, I scrape
Yep.
it, boom.
Yep.
And it goes over well on LinkedIn too. So
Yep.
thanks for that idea. I will
Yep.
credit you with that idea.
Yeah, I
Thank
saw
you.
that. No, it's good. I liked it. All right, guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you, William. And we will
Thanks, man.
see you on the next show. Talk soon.
Yep. Later.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you got value from this episode, you're going to love what's coming next. So subscribe now. We drop new episodes and videos several times a week featuring power players, market movers, and insiders from the financial world. And if you want access to deals and insights we only share privately, hit the links in the description, and we'll see you on the next show.